in Canto 2, chapter 9 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 39. Now, in this, the dialogue is going on, and the answer given was that Brahmaji is talking to his son, Narada, and he is going to give him some understanding of the subject based on what information and knowledge he has gathered from the Lord himself. That means Mahavishnu himself has given him the knowledge which he is passing on to his son. Now you may wonder why this is being told to you. The reason is very simply, the answer lies here that the way in which the story has progressed, if there is no authenticated, person or thing or God or whatever that you call it, talking about it, you are not going to believe in it. It is like a Harry Potter story. If I tell you a Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings story, are you going to believe in it? I doubt it. The answer is you are not going to believe it because that has not happened to you. Has it happened to you? No. None of it has happened to you. But for those who have first-hand knowledge of the incidents or the things that have happened, when they have the hands-on knowledge, like I know I am talking about it because I saw it or I have been there when that incident happened. So that knowledge will be the true knowledge. And the Lord himself is giving this knowledge to Brahmaji. Brahmaji, as we know, is the creator of this whole thing. And his son is a sage of the highest order. So Brahmaji is passing on the knowledge and the information to his son. And his son passed it on further. So now we have come to this particular point. So let us begin today's satsang from verse 40 onwards. We are doing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, chapter 9, verse 40. Thus, once upon a time, the forefather of living entities and the father of religiousness, Lord Brahma, situated himself in act of regulative principles, desiring self-interest for the welfare of the living entities. Here we have to understand what is the motivation of Brahmaji. See, Brahmaji got to hear the stories about the Lord from the Lord himself, right? These were then passed on to his son Narada. Now, these stories were also given to Ved Vyas, who was none other than Sri Krishna's own avatar, one of the avatars of Vishnu. Alright? So when he is talking about it, it will have more sense to people. Now, whenever anything happens in this world, let us say the formation of a country, let us say India became a democratic republic, it became a country on its own. Earlier it was not. Earlier it was small kingdoms all over the place. If you go back in history, you will come to know that there were kingdoms all over the place, right? So there was not one entity there called India. But when India came into existence, the laws were written. Constitution was written. All other laws pertaining to the formation of this country came into existence. Isn't it the same which happened in United States the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, everything came about, isn't it? So you have a set of rules and regulations which you have to follow today. That means when the United States of America happened, the states came together and they had a constitutional law and an authority on top of it, somebody to govern it, right? In a similar fashion, when this whole world got created, there were some basic laws which got enacted. Religion also is a part of that same law. You have to follow certain religious principles. If you do not follow those religious principles, you are not going to be a part of that coterie. Got it? So suppose somebody revolts. Those people can be punished, can be thrown out, can be slaughtered, those kind of things happen. I want you to think about all the religions in the world. Every religion has a set of rules and regulations. And these rules and regulations have to be dutifully followed. These are called religious principles. You may say, I don't care a damn about these religious principles. Most of the people, they are revolting. You're like young children. Now suppose you are a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old, you know how rebellious you are. You'll find the youngsters, teenagers especially, very rebellious in nature. You at this age of yours is in rebellion with the religion. I will not do this. Why should I do this? I will not follow this law. Why should I have not? This is the thing which we always come up with. Why should I follow this? Now, the religious principles have to be written down. So here, he came about with the regulative principles. Brahmaji created the regulative principles. For those who are desiring self-interest for the welfare of the living entities. The main reason is, so everybody is having a welfare. That means everybody gets proper benefits out of it. Think about what is being said over here. Certain religious institutions insist that you have to attend the place of worship on a particular day. Are they saying those words? It is a very important thing. If you do not follow that, you are going against the religion. Now you cannot say these words that, I don't want to follow those things, I just want to go away from it. Try going away from the principles. Let us say, today, where the question of live-in relationships or, so many other things that are happening. Suppose it is there in that particular, scripture that this is a sin. Suppose it is said. You will be disowned by that group. In some of the cases, it is very clearly mentioned. Right? So you will find that there are set of rules and regulations that need to be put in place. With your own children also, are you not following the rules and regulations? In India, are you not following the rules which are supposed to be there on the, while you're driving a car or when you're applying for a passport or a visa? Are there special rules or no? Are you supposed to follow those rules? Yeah. When you're walking on the street, can you come on the other side? Let us say the road goes straight up, you are supposed to go up. Instead of that, you are driving down. You see, the whole point is that road may not allow you, correct? So you can be fined for that. So these are called religious principles. These are called basically principles, laws, which are very, very important. So here we are being told that Brahmaji situated himself in acts of regulative principles. Regulative principles go for you as well. If I were to put your hands on top of your head, is it okay by you? You will be called a freak. Aren't you going to be called a freak? Maybe you have legs on top and the hands at the bottom. Naturally, you will be called a freak. Understood? And that is the reason why these principles are important. Following the law is important. You follow law in the material world. So in the religious world also, you got to follow the law. It is for your own welfare, so that you can progress on the path of religiosity. Verse 41, Narada, the most dear of the inheritor son of Brahma, always ready to serve the father, strictly followed the instructions of the father by his mannerly behavior, meekness and sense control. See, what is being mentioned over here is, when the religious principles are put in place, you have to follow them very, very religiously. You have to follow them to the T. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to discipline your life. Now you will wonder, why is this being discussed over here? Well, because the next chapter is going to tell you that Srimad Bhagavatam is the answer to almost all of your questions. Every question that you have in your life, about anything that is happening, is going to be offered to you. So before we go on to that, can we get ourselves cleared that if you are following these principles, you are going to get benefit. But if you are not following these principles, you are going to be affected by it very shortly. Yesterday, Rajma was talking to someone. This person is no longer joining our satsangs. So the answer was, if you are not joining the satsangs, that person is not able to process the stress and the strain that is going on in their life. Because everything goes awry. Everything goes out of sync. Think, these people find time to sit for the satsang. Now suddenly you don't find time for anything. And suddenly you find that there is a whole load of workload which is not allowing you to sit for the satsang. Do you understand how this principle works? I'll give you an example. Let us say, in very earnestness, you go and join a gym. You see, there are some new gyms which have come over here, and they are charging you 10,000 rupees for the whole year. Now it's a steal. So you go and you join the gym because they are charging you so less. It's a new gym, correct? They have good equipment, new equipment. Now you go very, very religiously every day. Maybe five times in a week. And then slowly it so happens that you go on a tour. You go to some other place. Now there is no gym out there. So what do you do? For 15 days you are not doing anything. You're just eating, drinking and sleeping. That's it. And doing whatever that you have come for. 15 days later, when you come back and you try to go to the gym, you are going to get very tired. You're not going to feel up to the mark. So you will make concessions to yourself. And these concessions will keep on happening. You may end up going twice in a week and then later on once in a week and then once in 6 months. At the end of the year, you say, no, I will go and join that gym again. Because see, I am having this stomach over here, my muscles have gone flabby and stuff like that. I will go and join once again. Okay, you go and you pay the fees again and you join. You first few days you go. After that, forget it. So this is indiscipline. You are going to be suffering very badly because of this. You know what exactly happens is your muscle and your body has got accustomed to it. And now suddenly you are not accustomed to it because your body becomes flabby. You are not able to sustain. You cannot do that. Your treadmill which you used to do for quite some time, you can't even do. You are huffing and puffing. Even climbing up the stairs is a problem for you. Then diseases are going to strike you very soon. If you are in your 20s, 30s and 40s, the disease is going to strike you any moment. So this is the problem. In the religious world also, this is the same problem which you are going to face. Today when you are sitting over here, you are able to visualize and sort out issues. But tomorrow if you were to drop off, you are not going to be able to solve any problem in your life. And these problems are going to cascade. And they are going to become so big that you are going to be a diseased person. You will have a lot of diseases. In our terms, it's called afflictions. Afflictions are of three kinds. Adibhuta, Adidaiva and Adhyatmika. So these afflictions comes to that person. And when these afflictions affect that person, after that, there are two options to him. Live a diseased life or become a diseased person. So one of the two is going to be striking that person very badly. And this is so common, by the way. Most of the people who do this don't actually understand what I'm talking about. So Narada understands this. So he says he behaved in a mannerly fashion. He was meek and had sense control. See, in one of the scriptures that we were reading, the Divine Lord says, I like meek people. Sri Krishna says to his devotees. Why? What is the meaning of the word meek? Meek are simply those people who do not show their ego in any way. I know. You know, the I know is a very big problem in life. Now you are listening to my satsang. Tomorrow you will not listen to it and you will say, I know everything. When you say these words, it's going to be against the system. It is like you're going against the constitution of that country. Something like that. So you got to have sense control. Verse 42. Narada very much pleased his father and desired to know about the energies of Vishnu. The master of energies, for Narada was the greatest of all sages and the greatest of all the devotees, O king. The great sage Narada also inquired in detail from his father Brahma, the great grandfather of all the universe, after seeing him well satisfied. Now here what is being mentioned is Narada is one of the greatest devotees of God. He is also the son of Brahmaji. Brahmaji has all the knowledge in the world about this creation of the universe. How everything came about, because he was told about it by the Lord himself. And when all this knowledge was being passed on, Narada was getting the first-hand knowledge. I will give you one example of the meekness which I just spoke about. Now, many years ago, this happened way back in 2004, if I am not mistaken, 2004 or 5. I was attending a particular satsang. Now, in the satsang, there were some people sitting along with me. By the way, the whole congregation was there, and I was also sitting over there listening to it. Now, everybody sitting next to me suddenly became very excited and started pointing out towards the mistake the person who was giving the satsang had done. That mistake was quite obvious to everybody. These people were very much new. They were new. Some of them who were sitting next to me were quite new. They immediately started raising doubts. And they started talking amongst each other, which I could hear. Now, when that happened, I kept quiet because for me, this was an experience. I had gone there to find out. I had gone there to get an experience. And all this led to a confusion. When the question hour came, a person who was quite, sitting very close to me, he raised the query and started literally abusing the person who was doing the satsang. The person who was doing the satsang was a very good sage. Incidentally, I knew who he was. So he was very patient in answering this person. So very patiently he tried answering him. But being arrogant, he started abusing the person on the dais. Now when that happened, the person on the dais immediately shut up. He never opened his mouth after that. He kept quiet. These people next to me, they started saying, oh, he doesn't know anything and all that, and they walked out. When they walked out, I kept quiet. I think there were only 5 or 6 seats over there, people in one seat. Later on, I went to meet this person. And I said hello to him and I did my namaskar and I said, Guruji, why did you say those words? So he looked at me and he said, you have to understand, we have our own ways of driving some people out. I was really shocked at hearing his words. I said, but what is the real answer? He said, if that person had patience and a little bit of decorum, I would have given him the right answer. I deliberately gave the wrong answer. And it was a very funny incident. But the way in which this particular person gave the answer was, for me, a very, very strange way. And remember, this was in my it is more than 20 years now. So I realized it's not that that person doesn't have knowledge. He has knowledge, but he's deliberately testing out some people. Because till you do not show your humility, answers are not going to be apparent to you. Please understand this. Without humility, without being a little calm and peaceful, answers are not going to be there in front of you. This is how it is. And I realized what he was doing. And that time, I was quite happy to understand his way and his way of teaching. Later on, I went to his room and he called me to his room. He said, "Come, let us go and sit in our room and I will talk to you." And then he spoke to me and he gave me the right answer. And then he says, "You seem to be a very serious person. I want to give you something." And he gave me one book from inside. So it was a very funny incident, which you have to become a little docile, meek. You got to have humility and you need to understand the laws of religiosity. If you do not follow them, you are going to get into trouble. Then you are not going to get any answers for anything. Alright? So, Narada also, he was quite meek and docile and asked these questions to his father. Do you remember the time when Narada became very arrogant and he started calling his father names? At that time, his father cursed him to become a human being. And he was born in the lowest caste family, that where nobody cares for you. So he had to go through that process. So the answer is that religious questions and answers or religious meanings have a certain way of interpretation which the Guru gives. You have to follow it in that manner. Alright? Thereupon, the supplementary Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is described by Sri Krishna and which contains 10 characteristics, was told with satisfaction by the father Brahma to his son Narada. So we are doing the Srimad Bhagavatam, as you know. I understand the Srimad Bhagavatam is a massive scripture. It is going to take a long time to do. I had my limitations, as you know, so I was not willing to do it. But after clearances from my own Gurudev, I said, fine, this time I will give an explanation which only few people can understand, those who are very sincere. And that is the reason why you will find that this satsang cannot be compared to the previous one. The previous one was meant for the general public. This one is meant for only those people who have the grace of God to listen and digest the words. Otherwise, it is going to be of no use to anybody. So you will have to understand the next chapter also very beautifully. You have to pay attention to it. So in this case, Narada is told about the different avatars that came about when Sri Krishna took various births. Now here the Divine Lord is taking multiple births. From the beginning of time to the end of the last Yuga. So there is an advance notification for the last avatar, which is called the Kalki avatar also. So you will get some idea about this avatar which is going to come about. It's like it is written in some of the other scriptures of other religion, revelations. I'm sure you know about it. So these kind of revelations are also there in this scripture which you will be told about. But this is a spiritual scripture, spiritual text. The explanations are important. So listen to the expositions. The stories are meant for children. Those who are innocent or ignorant or those kind of people. So if you want to hear the story of say any of these avatars, you can go to any movie theater and go and see, or open up Netflix or any other channel and you can watch as many serials as you want. Those serials have no meaning in them. It is meant for children, small children who are just innocent. They don't want to know anything. They cannot understand the deeper meaning of any of the scriptures. You know, one day I was asked this question. So Guruji, does the Bible and the Quran and any other scripture that is there in this world, there is another scripture called the Zand Avesta. That scripture is there. Plus there are the different scriptures from the Buddhist literature. Those are basically the the explanations given by Buddha and others. Then there is one which is called the Chan Buddhism, or Zen as we call it, Zen, Z-E-N. It is Chan. So Zen Buddhism has got certain very beautiful scriptures. There's a person called Suzuki, he has written it very beautifully. Then there are scriptures, there are not scriptures, I can't call them scriptures, but there are very beautiful books written by some other people. Like Confucius has written, and various other people. Chanakya Niti is there. These books, these scriptures and these very deep literature has got very, very beautiful meanings. Without the meanings, these things are of no use. You can use them as a pillow under your bed and you can go to sleep on that. Nothing is going to enter your brains. So if you want to understand the in-depth meaning of the scripture, you have to pay attention to everything that is being told. You will be amazed to know that a very few lines, just few lines, one word, two words, one word, two words, one word, two words is written in Sanskrit by some of the great writers. And it comprises of an entire scripture. Those who understand this, for them, they can go on talking about that one word for ages if they want to. And this is a very common thing. So understand, the scriptures have very, very deep meaning. I have given this story earlier, but let me repeat it for you. One of the avatars of Sri Krishna was also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Those who know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a young person, very young person of 18-20 years, and he had gone on a tour of India. So when he went on this tour of India, he came to a place where a very great person, he was giving a lesson to some of his disciples. So Chaitanya said, "Can I sit over here?" He's also called Gauranga, by the way. Gau, cow, Ranga, color. Cow color, or basically Gauranga. So he said, "Let me sit for listening to the satsang." And he sat over there. The Guru started teaching one verse. And he explained the verse in multiple ways. Like, he said, "Oh, this word means like this, that, blah, blah, blah." And for 2-3 days in a row, he gave an explanation of that single line. Here, Gauranga, who was sitting over there, looked very blank. He never showed any sign of understanding what this person was talking, this Guru was talking. So he looked very blank. And he never uttered a word. Now, this particular Guru, he looked at Gauranga and he said, "Can you understand what I am saying?" He says, "No." "You are not understanding a word?" "No." "But you are educated in Sanskrit and all those things?" "Yes." "Then how is it that you don't understand what I am saying? I gave an explanation of this one line for so many days." So he said, "No, whatever you have said is all wrong." I mean, just imagine a disciple talking like this. Whatever you said is wrong. The Guru got infuriated and he said, what are you talking about? Whatever the Guru says is right. He says, no. What you said was wrong. So he said, how is that possible? Do you seem to know everything? If you know all this, why don't you sit in my place and give me an explanation of this verse? So he said, if that is your agya, I will sit in your place. And he sat in his place. And for 51 days he gave explanation of that one line. So when he gave an explanation of that one line for 51 days, finally that Guru got very tired of it. And he said, I am very sorry. I didn't understand what he was saying. Now I understand that there are 51 different explanations of this one line alone. And everything matches as per the words over there. I am sure these words were written by you only. The Guru is telling that Shishya, Chaitanya, Mahaprabhu. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiles at him and says, okay, now what? He says, but I want to understand something. Can you explain to me? He says, what? You see, the 3 days that explanation that I gave was the explanation offered by Adi Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya. If you say that whatever explanation that I gave is wrong, that means Adi Shankaracharya is wrong, isn't it? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looks at him and says, yes, you are right. Adi Shankaracharya is wrong. How can you say like that? He says, no. Adi Shankaracharya was deliberately giving wrong explanation. Because there were a lot of Buddhists sitting over there. They were trying to gauge the importance of Adi Shankaracharya. And he wanted to mislead them. Because they were twisting the words of the Vedas. And that is the reason why I gave them this kind of an explanation. Okay, now I understand. Can you kindly give me the darshan of who you are? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stands over there. And this sage gets the darshan of Radha and Krishna over there. Chaitanya has been, one who is roaming all over India. There was no place called Vrindavan. There was no, the Braj Dham as we call it, Braj Bhumi. There was no such place. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went over there along with his disciples later on and identified those locations where Sri Krishna's Leela happened. He said, over here this happened, over here this happened, over here this happened. And that is how today we see all these great temples over there. There were no temples, nothing was there, it was barren land. Today we are praying to all these Banke Biharis and all these other temples over there. But there was nothing like that over there at that time. It is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu we have to thank for getting this devotion back in that place. So understand this importance of this story, how things work out. So let us come back to it. So verse 45, in succession, O king, the great sage Narada instructed Srimad Bhagavatam unto the unlimited powerful Vyasadeva, who meditated in devotional service on Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, on the bank of the river Saraswati. O king, your question as to how the universe became manifested from the gigantic form of Sri Krishna, as well as other questions. Have we missed out any? No. Okay. I shall answer in detail by explanation of the 4 verses already mentioned. So in this case, Narada got his instructions from his father, Brahmadev. They were given to him by Mahavishnu himself, Sri Krishna himself. These instructions were then passed on from Narada to Vedvyas. Vedvyas is an avatar of Sri Krishna himself who wrote the scriptures. I am sure you know how he wrote. It was written with the tusk, the broken tusk of Ganesha. Ganesha's tusk got broken by Parshuram. So that is another story. And Ganesha is the person who is the script writer over here. So you will find that he has written all the scriptures, and Ganesha's contention was, if you stop talking to me, after that I am not going to write anything. So, Vedvyas had to continue telling the stories, on and on and on, and there was no break in between. And that is how today we have the Srimad Bhagavatam in front of us, which was given to us by Vedvyas through his son Sukadev. And this is a very, very precious scripture which we are going to continue with. So today we have understood the explanation, and in this we have also understood how this gigantic universe came from the body of Sri Krishna himself. And we are going to learn about his various avatars from the next scripture onwards, that is Canto 3 onwards. But we have a chapter 10 which will be, why is Bhagavatam so important to all of us? If you remember, there are two scriptures which we use as a text for our way of life program. We use two scriptures, isn't it? One is called the Bhagavad Gita, which is also Vedvyas is responsible for it. And the second one is called the Uddhav Gita, which is also there in this scripture. Uddhav Gita comes from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is a repository of the way of life. It is going to give us religious principles. It's going to tell us exactly how things came about, the story of Krishna and every other avatar of his. And it's also going to give us some principles which we have to religiously follow. We have to follow them to the T. Alright, so we have come to the end of chapter 9. We will stop over here for today.
Recording